Good evening. This is the 10-minute pre-game show. I figured I'd let people get their Facebook notifications. And then we'll begin at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Current time is 7:50 p.m. Eastern here in Salem, Massachusetts. And we're just going to wait for some folks to come on and join us. I'll be reading your questions tonight. The topic, past lives, reincarnation. Is it so? Okay. So I have your... sorry about that. Earthquake. I have your questions here. Written down as usual. Really good questions as usual. So we will read them to you and take your questions. We'll open the floor. And again, this is our 10-minute pre-show. So if it's quiet, for those that are tuning into the replay, you can probably skip ahead exactly 10 minutes. I'll start at exactly 8 p.m. 7:51 right now. Just want folks to see the live, to get the notification on their Facebook page so they can tune in and see that the video has begun. But again, we'll be starting with the topic at 8 p.m. in 9 minutes, so hang in there. Just want to let people still get online, get in line as well. And then, of course, I'm going to open the floor as usual, as I usually do, for your questions. For those of you that watched my last live stream on diabolic possession and exorcism, the good news is I have peed before the show, so I should not have to end early to pee this show. Okay. However, I am drinking coffee, and it goes right to the okay. So welcome. Again, we're waiting for 8 o'clock, and we'll begin with some substantive stuff. I gotta tell you, I talk a lot about, and I criticize a lot of fraud psychics and stuff like that. And somebody brought my attention to another, a psychic, quote unquote, that was doing a live show on Facebook recently. And it was a metaphysical QVC network. They had the script rolling at the bottom of the page. I don't know how they do that, actually. I'd like to do that. I think maybe I can figure out how to, I don't know. But anyway, they had the thing rolling at the bottom, offering deals and deals on readings and stuff like that. And it was a guy, and he had on a wig, and it was just so, hello, Lori. And it was just so, I don't know. You just have to see it. I'm not going to mention names, obviously, but this person, like I said, it was a metaphysical QVC network. Okay. And he flipping the wig back and going, okay, honey, so you spend $80. So you get the free little, cleanse your cleanse your house wash here. Okay. And there's this little tiny, whatever it was. And, probably Murphy's oil, something he cast in a circle. I don't know. But it was so embarrassing to watch this person. And what was, I think, worse was that people were lapping it up. People came to me. We're going to start the show at 8 o'clock. It's 6 minutes. So, the show, I guess it's a show. I don't feel like it's a show. I'm not in the studio. When I started doing readings, people would come to me and they'd be like, you need to offer this, you need to offer that, and da-da-da-da. Well, this QVC fortune teller that I watched is precisely why I always shun that kind of crap. oh, your first 5 minutes are free, and da 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 da. You know, it's, I don't know. It just cheapens. I think it cheapens what I do. I much prefer the clientele that I draw. Hey, Sherry. I much prefer the clientele that I draw here. And the questions you've been asking are great. If I had clients like you guys when I first started my business, I probably would just to say things would have been much better. So tonight's topic, again, we're just waiting we have 5 minutes to go, and we'll begin. Tonight is reincarnation, past lives. And we have a lot of great questions here. If you guys are I'm so proud of you guys on my page. You ask the best questions. Let me just see some of the people I'll be answering tonight. Melissa, I'll be answering. Diane, Mary, Robin, Melody, Jean, as well as some others. So if you have a question, by the way, on past lives and reincarnation, I will actually open the floor for you folks at some point, because what I'll do is I'll go on, you know, when we start in 4 minutes, I'll go on and I'll just start telling you about, you know, okay, this is my take on past lives, reincarnation. This is what I've seen with speaking with those who have passed on. And, you know, and then we'll go right to the questions, because the questions actually are so good. They really do answer a lot of what I need to talk about as far as past lives go. Okay. So once I answer these questions and I say that's it, then I'll open the floor as I usually do. It is now 7:57. I have some bullet points. I actually wrote some bullet points down here so I don't forget, so that I have plenty to talk about. And I'll tell you a story about. I'll tell you a story about who I allegedly was in a past life, and so it's going to be a fun show. Well, they're always fun, but it's going to be a fun topic to talk about because it'll make you think. You know. And I'm chomping at the bit. This will be fun. A few minutes. 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes. Welcome to all who are watching. I see Robin. Can't see everybody at once. Facebook doesn't show me everybody. I see you if you comment. Sometimes I'll see you pop up in the corner. But yeah, that I got to tell you before we start, again, one final word, that QVC psychic that I saw, you were born in the wrong, I know I was born in the wrong century. Ryan, how are you, buddy? I'm going to answer that, actually. I'll get to that. Just remind me in 2 minutes. Actually, I'll text it to myself here. Born in wrong. Sherry. I was born into the wrong family. Okay. Sherry, just clarify that you're not speaking about me, please. Born in wrong century, because there's a reason for that feeling. I'm assuming you were serious. I know you have a sense of humor, that's why. Born in wrong century. Okay. There we go. I just texted it to myself, that's why you heard the chime. Okay. Yes, that's the QVC psychic. And I'm not mentioning any names, but it was so you know, it was just so with the wig, lipstick. It was like Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Okay, and he's, okay, honey, so you spent $80 tonight, so you get the free bath wash. Okay, you forget or whatever it was. It was just, may I go out of business if I ever come to that. Okay, if I ever come to being a QVC psychic, um, may I may I go out of business. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It's 8 o'clock. I'm EricJFraize, and tonight's topic is reincarnation and past lives. Is it so? And we have a lot to talk about. First of all, I guess with I do or I don't. I guess I would say write in, type in now, and I'll see it go up, get it, and I'll get a quick feel for it. How many of you believe in reincarnation and past lives? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in with my thoughts, and I'm going to start sharing with you some experiences I've had with reincarnation and past lives. And and that's that. Okay, so reincarnation. When I first started doing readings, and people know I've been doing them for like over 30 years, and seriously, like I'm not joking, I started reading people when I was 15 years old. So 15 years old, you figure 21 now. No, just kidding. 15 years old, 25, 35. It'll be 32 years very soon that I've been reading people. You know, I've always been, and I don't like to say, people that watch me know that I don't like to say things, right? Hi, Holly. I don't like to say things with a firm authority because I like to lead you to your own conclusions, you know? And, but from my experience has been from reading people that there are past lives and that there is reincarnation. But if you think of it, when we were talking about the video in the afterlife, and we were talking about do you die? Like, and I was saying there is no death. Well, so what do you do for all eternity? Hang around? No, you probably go into another body. So there are many theories on past lives. Let's get rid of some of the confusion of past lives, first of all. And I guess what I say by that is let's get rid of, it's gotten out of hand. I guess that's why I was so jaded on it at first about reincarnations, because it got so out of hand. Because everybody was a princess and a king. Okay? Everybody was a princess and a king. I was king somebody, I was princess whoever. I was, in my palace in a castle, and there are billions of souls that have come and gone in the world. Okay. There's also the 14 pieces theory, and I want to talk about that too. Because Set cut up the soul of Osiris into 14 pieces, and Isis had to reassemble the 14 pieces of Osiris. And there's the theory that your soul can actually inhabit 14 bodies at once. You can be in 14 people at once. Think of the dynamics of the soul, who we are, etc. Do I believe in that theory? I don't know. It's a theory. Have I seen evidence to corroborate that theory where somebody could be in 14 people at the same time, like through readings? Have I come across a situation where people could be in 14 people? Yeah. What's curious is it's really interesting how close, I'm very serious about this, how 14 pieces, the 14th piece of Osiris was his member, and it was turned into a fish and cast into the Nile and devoured. I think what a poor guy. But pieces is lexigrams very closely Pisces. Needs one more S. So, fish. Okay. So, that's one of the theories, that you can reincarnate into 14. In some of these pieces of you, some of these 14 pieces, maybe in one, maybe like 3 of you are incarnated, and the rest of your souls are waiting for a different time. And who can, you all the same age. It's just fascinating stuff. And another thing you want to look at, Jacob, that's a good question. Jacob, Shadow, you mean doppelgangers? Like doppelgangers? We'll get to that one too. Just, you have to remind me when I say the floor is open for questions. Doppelgangers. I'd have to actually do more research. Hi, Regina. Leandra, hello. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry, because I'm just looking at these questions and talking at the same time. So yes, that's the theory of the 14 pieces of Osiris. You can be in 14 bodies at once. Now, And I was saying everybody's a princess and everybody's a king. One of the most some of the stuff that jaded me when I started reading people was just that thing. Everybody would come to me and say, and if you said they weren't, oh boy, were they pissed at you because you shattered their illusions. A lot of people like to use past lives to compensate for a miserable existence that they have in this one. Okay, you know, the homeless person was King Henry VIII. Okay, and now he's shaking a tin on Park Ave in Boston, on Park Street in Boston. So, it can get, people can get head over it. When I was at the Witch Trial Memorial, I would see, because I was in the tourism industry in Salem for a long time. You have people. Now, let me tell you something about the witch trials in Salem. Only 19 people, actually 20 people died. Only 20. Well, I mean, others died, but only 20 were convicted, I guess you could say. 19 hanged, one man pressed to death. About 150 or so died in jail because of the conditions and the accusation. Okay, but for actually convicted and hanged, by the way, 19, one man pressed to death, Giles Corey between heavy stones. Okay, everybody in this area knows that. Salem. Okay, so 19 people, all right, were hanged, one pressed to death. So countless people, more than 19, I can tell you, walk through the Witch Trial Memorial in Salem, and you see them. Oh, I feel like I'm choking. I was one of these. I was her. I was Bridget Bishop. I was Wilmot Red. I was George Jacobs, or whoever. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody. Okay, so hundreds of people seem to think they were Bridget Bishop, etc. So you can't all be right. Okay. Now, could you be picking up on the energy of like that person feeling what they feel because you were over their memorial stone? First of all, they weren't hanged there in that area, so it's not that likely you're going to pick up their energy per se. Unlikely. Is it your active imagination? Most likely. So that's one of the things that jaded me toward past lives. I'd see stuff like that. Or another thing too is when you'd go there and you would see them, the people that just assumed they were burned, and you'll see them go, I think I was one. I must have been Bridget Bishop. I feel like I'm on fire. My skin is burned. And they're making total asses of themselves because she was hanged and not burned. So it's interesting to watch the human psyche and to watch these dynamics in people. So, yes, do I believe in reincarnation? I would have to. There's abundance of evidence saying that reincarnation is so. The great documentary on YouTube I've mentioned before, The Boy Who Lived Before. You really need to watch that, The Boy Who Lived Before. Now, when you reincarnate, and it doesn't mean you can't be that person, that emperor or that whatever. But just think about this. There are 7+ billion souls, people on Earth, okay? And you can even divide that by 14 pieces. It's still a shitload, all right? And only 44 have held the office of President of the United States. That's a pretty elite soul group. Not 45, 44. One held it twice. So even though Trump's the 45th president, there's only been 44 presidents. That's a pretty elite group, don't you think? Most of whom have ties to Charlemagne. Research that too. So it's a pretty elite group. But even though the United States has only been around for 200-something, 1776, so do the math, whatever that is, 200-something years. But still, for 200 whatever years, however old we are, to have only 44 people run the show, that's a unique soul group. And you don't have to have been the person to come in the spirit of a person. Okay? For example, it is said that President Trump comes in the spirit, hi Rebecca, the spirit of King Cyrus, king of Persia, the old king of Persia who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. Given who he is, I would tend to believe that he actually was King Cyrus, because he holds a very similar. You tend to hold a commensurate position in life to life. In other words, it's unlikely that if you were an emperor or a king or a pharaoh or a queen or a princess, it's not likely that you're going to be, it's not impossible, but it's just unlikely, unless you really screwed up, that you're going to be a beggar, crack hoe. I mean, just, you know what I mean? If you were, so like I said, a lot of people like to use past lives to justify, to compensate for their, the existence, the life that they don't like this time. They want to trade it in. And it's usually, just in my case, for example, I've been told by several readers, and this is reasonable. I've been told by several readers that I was a monk in several lives from several different readers. They told me I was a monk, and they didn't know that I, in fact, studied to be a monk in this life in the Order of Saint Benedict in the Catholic Church. So they told me I was, you were a monk. So there was some, it's like, so when that's repeated over and over, and it does have some kind of resemblance to this life, and some people said you were a hermit, there's some, and I can look at that and say, yeah, that could be. The most, the biggest thing I think anybody told me I was in a past life, and I at first I wrote it off, but then I started paying attention to it, was William Tyndale. Let's say William Tyndale. For those of you who don't know William Tyndale, he was the first to translate the Bible into English, and he was burned at the stake by King Henry VIII. And as he was being burned, he said, "Lord, open the king's eyes." So this psychic, a very reputable individual, told me I was William Tyndale, not knowing that and I didn't know this, and I said, okay, whatever. I brushed it aside because I tend to stray away from grandiosity. But it explained a lot. I have a love for the Bible, the written word, just its history though too. Like when was like the different versions that were written, and I'll look at translations and be like, this is a sucky translation. And I'm very critical of Bibles. Like, no, this is what it meant. This is da-da-da. So, and William Tyndale was the first to translate it into English. Okay, and he was burned on my birthday at the stake, October 6th. I forget what year he was, but it was my birthday, October 6th. I didn't know this till after I researched all this stuff, and the person who read me didn't know my birthday either, or they certainly didn't know when Tyndale died. So that got my attention. Do I profess to be him? No, I just relay the story as an interesting tidbit, because again, I don't want to believe in the, I don't know. It could be possible. Sure, I could have been William Tyndale. Somebody had to be him, right? Okay. So I've been told I was a monk in several lives. I was William Tyndale. But if you notice, there's always a religious overtone to these past lives. So it's consistent. Your past your lives are usually consistent from one to another. Since she's on, I'm going to mention great stuff. Hi, Dawn, and hi, Kim. And I did a past life reading very, very, very recently for a woman who's like a sister to me. She's a famous fashion psychologist. Her name is Dawn Karen. You can actually look her page up on Facebook, and I encourage you to do so. It's just DAWNN, 2 N's, Karen, Karen, fashion psychologist. I was reading her today, and this is the idea of somebody can come in the spirit of somebody. And if you look at the Bible, when Jesus was talking about John the Baptist, and I think it was Peter, James, and John. It was Peter, James, and John, I think, that were with him in the Mount of Transfiguration, or Peter and John, one of them, anyway. But they said to him, why did the scripture say that Elijah must come first? And Jesus goes on to say Elijah has come first, in the spirit of Elijah, John the Baptist. And he says, for those who can accept it, Elijah has already come, etc. Now, he was talking about this coming in the spirit of Elijah, the spirit and power of that person, or was John the Baptist actually a reincarnation of Elijah? Okay, the prophet. So there's credence in the Bible for reincarnation. When you come in the spirit of somebody, for example, and I will give you an example. I told Dawn, and something I've felt since I've met her, I've always seen Queen Nefertiti of Egypt. And you have to be careful when you see something, because that's one. Everybody thinks they were Queen Nefertiti. Everybody thinks they were Tutankhamun. Everybody thinks they were Alexander the Great. Everybody think, they were Patton. But you have to look at the facts. Look at the person's lifestyle. This is consistent, and this is something that I came up with, and I'm very conservative with what I say. She didn't come to me and say, I think I was Nefertiti. I told her. And then when you look at the history, and you see, first of all, if you look at pictures of Nefertiti and pictures of Dawn, because you can go to her page and see her, they look alike. I mean, you don't have to look like the person, obviously, okay? If I was William Tyndale, I'm sure he wasn't this fat. But you don't have to look, you don't have to look like, she looks like Nefertiti. Nefertiti also had an affinity for gowns and just her style. In this woman, she's a fashion psychologist. Now, she's also world famous. Dawn is in her field. She's a pioneer in her field. Nefertiti was a pioneer and introduced the one sun god religion into Egypt. Okay, so there's a balance there. There's a relatively similar capacity of influence from one life to another. Okay, to say that Dawn is Nefertiti is not compensating for a poor life, because she's phenomenal. I mean, she's working it now. She has that power. She carries that power. She looks like Nefertiti. She has that energy that goes with her. And it's the same spirit that was in Madam C.J. Walker. She was the first black woman in the South, and she did cosmetics, interestingly enough, ruled by Venus. Cosmetics, fashion, and also, and if we go with the 14 pieces theory, I think she also tied somehow to Oprah. And I do have famous clients. She's the only one that gave me permission to actually mention her name. But please check out our page, Fashion Psychologist Dawn Karen, and you'll see, and just look at her, and then go Google Nefertiti and see the amazing similarities. And now look at the population, and then you say, okay, well, but Nefertiti is, she was a queen. Well, look at the population difference in the world back then. Okay, so Dawn is known across a world of 7 billion people. Okay, now granted, not by every soul on earth, but certainly people that are in the fashion psychology industry, and people that have watched Good Morning America, people that have read the New York Times, have glanced her name, people that have watched the Today Show Australia, people that have watched Lorraine in the United Kingdom, they've all seen Dawn. Her name has come across millions. Okay, now if you take Nefertiti and the population of Nefertiti's day, her name wouldn't be in the billions. Okay, it is now, because time has gone on. So over time, when fashion psychology, who founded fashion psychology? Who was a pioneer in this field when it was first coming out? And they look at Dawn Karen. You see what I mean? So there's a similar gravitas. The soul carries the gravitas, that energy, that queen energy, from lifetime to lifetime. Hi Jackie. Hi Marie. Hi Kim. Anybody else I missed? Kim, no, I'm not doing readings. Does that mean you're going to drop off? You're going to go away, or you're going to stay with us and watch? Because it's a fun show. We're happy to have you. So yes, you usually tend to be that, I do know somebody who has a fascination for Alexander the Great. Knows a lot about him, studied him. Could he have been Alexander the Great? If he wasn't, he could very well have served under him. See, that's what you got to understand too. If you have a fascination with somebody, like you could have known them. You don't have to be them. You could have known them. And so this speaks to the what Ryan asked about. He was born in the wrong century. Well, let's just put it this way. Let me compare this life to past lives. I love the 90s. I feel out of place in 2019. I wish I could turn back time. I wish I had a time machine because I would go live back in the 90s. I love the 90s. Your soul remembers the 1800s. And so the 1800s must have been an amazing time for you. And so what are Cancerians? They're nostalgic. They want to go back in time. Okay, I have a Cancer ascendant, and my 6 Libra planets are in the 4th house, which is ruled by Cancer. All right, so I want to live in the 90s, the 1990s, because I remember them. Your soul, the 1800s, made that, whatever life you lived at that time made such an impression on your soul. You want to go back. You love it. You miss it. Okay? And so there's nothing wrong with that. And it's very realistic that you were, in fact, that's, there was some great life. You had a wonderful life, in the 1800s, or more than one. It's a century, who knows. Likely just one life, though, because if it was wonderful, you probably had a long, healthy one. You know what? And you miss it. You want to go back to that. Okay. Hi, Lisa. Let's see. All right, so let's get to some of the online questions that I took earlier, and if I think of anything else too, I'll jump in. Oh, but also, okay, this will kind of lead into it. Melissa, not so much a question, but one day my middle daughter was laying on my lap. She was maybe 2. Anyways, she looked up at me and said, "Remember when you died and I held your hand? You don't look the same now, but you were my mom then too." And then she says, "I was like, that is so cool. I was more fascinated than I was weirded out." Think about this. And why do we forget past lives? Children remember more about their past lives because the memories are closer to it. Okay, so if you ask me, all right, well, for example, everybody remembers where they were on September 11th, 2001. Everybody remembers where they were, period. Everybody. But if you ask me where I was on April 5th, 1979, I'm not going to remember. Why? 89, 99, 09, almost 40 years have passed. I'm not going to remember. So that's why the soul, if you ask somebody, "Oh, where were you in the 17th century?" But children just reincarnated. So they're fresh out of the Akasha. They're fresh out of spirit. So they have these memories. Until we as adults say, no, no, they're not true. No, come on, it's your imagination, da-da-da. So then the child's third eye closes. Okay? But one of the things about The Boy Who Lived Before, that documentary I was mentioning to you on YouTube, is that he was like, he remembered, he took his mother to see his old mother, and it was a different family. And somebody asked if families travel together, and I'll get to that too, because that's on my list of questions here. So when a child says something like that, take it very seriously. When a child says, "Remember when you died, you were my mom then too," boom. That's like holy writ to me. When it comes out of the mouth of a child, it's something that a child wouldn't possibly think of, not to mention 2 years old. Okay? Usually children will remember their past lives for the first 6 to 8 years of their life. After that, depends on what kind of, the world tends to shut kids' third eyes, unfortunately, however you say it in the plural. Okay, so that was, okay, Melissa. And this is interesting too, because this was pervasive among the questions. And this is the comment too at the end is what, all right, I'll just read it to you. And how many times do we come back curious, I'm tired, and don't want to come back again? Isn't that something? But I've been getting that a lot. And let me tell you why. The world's getting worse. Technology is getting better, which is making things worse, in my opinion, in many areas. It's become impersonal. Technology has made life impersonal. Technology has made life dangerous. In some cases, it's made life better. Sure, medicine, etc. But the problems that are going on today in the world, nobody, they don't want to come back. You know, America's lost the world. I mean, we've lost. We've we're coming apart. You know, the country's coming apart. Morals are a good thing. You know, values are a good thing. Between extreme progressivism, liberalism, conservatism, we lose something, you know. And with technology and people walking around, and you call a customer service center, I don't know of any place off the top of my head. I do not know of any customer service center I can call where I will get a human to answer the phone. It's become impersonal. It's become cold. We don't want to come back because we've seen the degradation of society. You know, and there, for all the leaps and, you know, oh, this is great, and we have holograms now, and da 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 da, and you know, this is going to be you're going to think this is a stupid example, but it's as a gay man in 19 now, as a gay man in 2019. This is something I think about when it comes to, like, why, you know, when people say they don't want to come back, they don't want to, you know, they don't want to reincarnate again, because we cherish the past. Has time made things better? You know, let me give you an example as a gay man. When trying to meet people when I was a kid, you know, we would call 550 lines. I literally remember when it was 1550 stud, STUD, we'd call, or 1550 tool was another one, TOL, we would call that. Okay, so you know, and when you talk to somebody, like, you would get it, you wanted to see what they look like, so it was like, send me a picture in the mail. And so I would be anxious, like, I'd be waiting, because there was no internet, there's no Facebook. Okay, so I'd be waiting in the mail, like, for 3 days, 5 business days, and finally I get the envelope. I'm like, oh wow, this is good. You know, when you open, you're so excited to open the picture and see what the person looks like that you've been talking to, and sometimes it was awesome, and sometimes it was very disappointing to wait so long for that. But anyway, but today, shit, you have Grindr, you have apps, you have Facebook. You can GPS somebody that wants to have sex with you in 5 minutes. That was just unheard of, like, in like, you know, and I had a friend who had the Grindr app in his phone. Truly, it was a friend. I just don't do that stuff. I had a friend that had a Grindr app in his phone, and we went to a health center in Boston, a gay health center in Boston. I had an appointment. He accompanied me, and we get into the gay health center, and all of a sudden, ding, 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 his phone lights up like a fucking Christmas tree of people that are in the building or within like 0.025 miles that want to screw him. So has technology made things better? You know what I mean? There was something. Hi Maureen. Hi Michelle. There was something. We lost a lot. You know, you tend to lose a lot over time. So that's very dominant. It's a very prominent question that people don't want to come back. Do you have to come back? Honey, I don't know. I don't want to either, truth be told. Not now. If it was, like I said, if anything, I want to go back in time, not come back to go forward in time. Because especially with, I know about astrology, things have just been getting worse, you know, in the world. So a lot of people don't want to come back because I think we see and we know. We know, as I mentioned astrologically before, we know that war is coming. We know that things are going to get worse before they get better. So we know this stuff, and we don't want to be part of it. Mary, do we reincarnate so we can come back to work on certain issues we were weak on in our previous life, or is it just purely optional? If given the choice, I would not be interested in another do-over this lifetime. There's the second one, okay? You can consider me the third. I'm not interested in a do-over. Okay, so do we reincarnate so we can come back to work on certain issues we were weak in? Sometimes, yes. from, again, this is all from my experience. I'm not speaking like, I'm not like the reincarnation god. Okay, so I don't know. But from what I've seen, sometimes yes, and you'll meet the same people and often get into the same situations. Okay, do you have to come back? It depends on what school of thought you were. If you're evangelical Christian, you don't even believe in reincarnation. It's just one life, one trip, one journey. And while I'm thinking about this, speaking of reincarnation, you do not come back as an animal. You do not come back as an angel. Okay, there are different soul groups. All right, like I said, a dolphin is a dolphin. A human is a human. A dolphin is forever going to reincarnate as a dolphin. Okay, a human, etc. An angel is an angel. Well, an angel is not going to reincarnate because they're eternal. But I'm just saying, the nature. All right, so, there are different soul groups. Okay, and even angels have different soul groups among them: principalities, powers, dominions, thrones, angels, archangels, etc., demons, archdemons, etc. Okay, so yes, sometimes you will come back so you can work on certain issues. Sometimes there's the theory that you can choose to come back because you want to help somebody, and you can tell this stuff by looking at your astrological chart sometimes. And if you do a comparative chart, like you say, "Wow, this is somebody I really love." And you do a comparative chart, you can actually see if you have a past life connection. You look at the position of planets such as the Sun, Pluto, Saturn. Okay, those are the planets you want to look at. Planets of karma, planets of specifically Saturn, the position of Saturn, etc. And when you meet somebody in this life, you're like, oh, I feel like we've known each other before. Like I've known you. Like it can be past lives. It can be recognition of the soul from a past life. But it can also be very real magnetic attraction from the planets. You could meet somebody and have that feeling and never have known them ever before in a past life, but because your planets, which are a very real magnetic vibratory influence, like two magnets are drawn to each other, your energy fields get into each other, you intertwine, and all of a sudden you feel that very real magnetic pull in your psyche and in your body, literally your body chemistry. And they say, oh yeah, the chemistry is just there. It is. You don't necessarily have to have known them in a past life, but you sure as hell love them this time because you're so compatible and you know this and you feel it. The energies intertwine. You can go back in time in alpha. In reality, probably not. At least not yet. Seriously, can you come back to get somebody? Can you elaborate on that? That question. Yeah, I don't know what get somebody means. Like save somebody or kill them. I don't know. What does it mean? Okay. So let me just see here. All right. So, Robin, do we reincarnate back into a family that we've once been a part of, or do we have a choice to go wherever we want? Perfect. I both. In the case of the boy who lived before, if you look at that documentary on YouTube, he was in a totally different family, and it was a very rapid reincarnation, like death to birth. If you look at what the question just before you, Melissa's question, what her daughter said to her, which I firmly believe was not a child's imagination. I firmly believe this is hardcore truth. That when a child looks up to you and says, remember when you died and I held your hand? You don't look the same now, but you were my mom then too. It's called group or family karma. You travel together. It can be mother. You can hold the same position from life to life. You can be mother daughter. You can be father son. You can be boyfriend girlfriend. You can be husband wife, boyfriend boyfriend, brother sister. You can. It changes. It's interchange depending on what you have to learn. So do we reincarnate back into a family that we've once been a part of? Yes. And do we reincarnate into stranger families? Yes. There we go. And just because but speaking of that, by the way, with A Boy Who Lived Before documentary, just because he reincarnated into a family that he doesn't recognize doesn't mean he's not going to bump into people throughout his life that he does recognize. That he does know from a different life. Okay. Let's see. Melody asks, do you recall any of your past life. Was she asking me personally? Do I do past? Because the only thing I would have to say would be and I don't recall them. It's just that I was told them, and they were consistent with stuff in this life. So that's interesting. The William Tyndale thing, the monks, the past life, being monks in past lives, and I've always had this kind of religious bent, if you will. Okay. Can you reincarnate in the wrong family? Michelle asks. No. I can't imagine. That's it would be like a cosmic accident. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't see that happening. I mean, again, I'm not speaking authoritatively. I've never seen this. I've never seen such an instance where somebody was born into the wrong family. So I don't want to say that authoritatively, but I would imagine something like that is no, because the universe, that means like the universe made a mistake, and I don't see that. Even soul, even if, a sensitive topic, even if, the gods forbid a woman was raped and had the child, even that soul knows what it's coming into. You know what I mean? Depends on reading. Okay, let me just see here. So I hope that, there's a lot of good questions. Whitney, how are you, by the way? It's time for a reading. You're overdue. My dad passed 2 years ago. I used to get a lot of signs from him, but I haven't had any in a while. Does that mean he reincarnated? Yes and no. If you watch one of my previous videos, I have this instance where I compare it to my mom. How when she first died, she came to me a lot. And then she got kind of busy. She looked better and better with each vision, and then she got kind of busy. Like at one point, she came to me in a dream, and she's like, I'm busy. What do you want? I'm like, excuse me? She's like, you're calling out to me. What do you want? So they have stuff to do. They move on. Life goes on. So let's go to a question from Jean. I've heard that our deja vu, no, you spelled it correctly, just different accent and spacing. I've heard that deja vu experiences are sort of flashbacks from previous lives. Any truth to this? As children, are we more likely to remember past lives? That I've answered yes. But okay, so deja vu. We've had this conversation before. I've seen this before. I don't think it has to do as much with, at that particular instance, when you're like, we've discussed this before in this spot at this time. The theory behind that is that you and your higher self have, during a sleep state, traveled into the future and discussed events that were going to go down that day. And so what you're actually subconsciously remembering is a suppressed memory of your trip to the future while you were sleeping with your guardian angel, higher self, or whatever. And that's why you have deja vu. You're like, whoa. And sometimes what's freaky is people get it together at the same time. Oh, whoa, I have a deja vu. Oh, me too. Because you both saw that. You both went ahead, or you both communicated in sleep and agreed that you were going to have this conversation at this time. And it may be a meaningless conversation, but pay attention whenever you have deja vu, because what's happening today? What happened today? What's happening today? What's happening in my life right now? Because you were taken to that time period for a reason in the past. Did you follow that? Your guardian angel, the angel of your higher self, you traveled to the future to see what was going to happen, and that's why you're having that deja vu. Because you're simply remembering a repressed memory. You've already been there. The past, there's no time. There is no time. Simultaneously, lexigram's time is a lie. Okay? And there is no time. Okay? So, but deja vu of a place. Similar to, okay, and this goes back to what I was saying about everybody remembers where they were on September 11th, and then when you're reincarnated, you only remember for a certain amount of time, People in their adult life, lives later, will remember a murder or a horrible location. Because just like a September 11th, where we all remember where we were, that soul from 2 centuries ago remembers where it was murdered. So when you have, no, I don't want to go there, or you feel you have to go somewhere, you may have been killed there. Or you may have killed somebody there. Don't think you're an angel. Don't think you're a saint. Don't saint yourself. Don't think you were the victim. You may very likely have been the perpetrator. Okay. Um, so, there could be, um, there's that as far as deja vu goes. Um, so let me just see here. Da, da, da. Okay, so you can come into the spirit of somebody. Um, the spirit, like I said, Trump comes in the spirit of King Cyrus, though I think he actually was King Cyrus. Um, and so that's how you can tell if people are shoveling them, if people are buying a line of bullshit for themselves, you know, um, you can tell that, um, you know, that they were. You can tell if they're buying bullshit, or you look at their life. In Don's case of Nefertiti, that's a very legitimate comparison. It's something worth looking at. Now, was she Nefertiti, or does she come in the spirit of Nefertiti, the spirit of Madam C.J. Walker, who was a pioneer in fashion and cosmetics in the South during the Civil War, a black woman, um, and that actually looks like Nefertiti. But then look for other stuff about that person too. Who else was with you? So if I was William Tyndale, who was King Henry VIII? Who burned me at the stake? Is he going to be in my life somehow? Probably. You travel with these souls too, and sometimes they're not in your life. Whatever. So again, I don't know if I was or wasn't. It just so happens that somebody told it to me. I looked into it. He happened to be burned at the stake on my birthday. I have a fascination for Bibles. He was the first to translate the Bible into English. So it's all. But I don't go around saying, "Well, I was William Tyndale." It does sound grandiose, and you feel funny saying it. You feel funny saying it. Hey Lex, nice to see you, and Christy and Marie. But like I said, yeah, when you get to everybody thinks everybody was that was why I was skeptical when I first started reading, because everybody was a princess, everybody was a king. I was somebody told me I was an emperor. One psychic told me, you were an emperor. So I just kind of like eye rolled it. I'm like, an emperor. Okay, I was an emperor. But if you look at but I mean, all I could say is that this life I was on Boston radio. So my voice, and I was on Glenn Beck. So my voice has probably reached, it's safe to say, millions of people. But was it, enough to make an impact on thousands of people? The Boston radio audience is 600,000 to 1.5 million people. So, was I an emperor? I don't know. If I was, I think I've fallen from grace myself. But, so I've definitely had some kind of impact in this life, and I'm still having an impact, and will still have an impact. Okay, we got to that question too. Born in the wrong century. Then my theory on that one. Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. So questions. This is open floor time. So now let's go with your questions about past lives. What have I not answered? And if I don't get a lot of questions, that means I was thorough. And people don't have a lot of it, but we're going to open the floor. Do you believe? All right, Christian Gina Bruscato, Paisan. Do you believe one's murdered? Oh, people haven't left until one person who did it serves justice in their death. Sometimes. It's a curious thing, because 3,000. Well, that could be two. There's more evidence for that theory, Christian, sorry about that, than against it. There's more theory. For example, I firmly believe, and there's documentation in the Catholic Church for this, and an exorcism I studied. I firmly believe that those who were hanged for witchcraft and those who died in jail for being accused of witchcraft in Salem 1692 hang around Salem. as part of, whether it's protection, karma, legacy, justice, whatever it is. But you have to remember that Salem is a city now that's profiting off the deaths of these souls. Okay, that's the dilemma that's been in Salem forever. You know what I mean? Um, it's because they'll slap, they try to say, well, no, we want to focus on our maritime history. It's like the Salem city government is schizophrenic, and they'll say we don't want to profit off the deaths of these people, but yet they'll slap the witch in the broom, the stereotypical witch in the broom on the side of the police car. They love Halloween. I forget what I used to do the tourism in Salem, and I forget what the statistic was, but it was staggering. It was like the businesses made over 50%. Over 50%, I want to say close to 70% of their annual income in Salem, the businesses made in 3 weeks in October. Their entire annual income, 3 weeks of it was made. Most of it was made in 3 weeks in October. About 70%, 50 to 70% of it. But the witches, those who were executed in Salem, the souls do stay around. There was a documented exorcism tied to the witch house in Salem, the Jonathan Corwin house. So there's that. So do souls hang around to seek justice? Yes. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Have I read people that I've read not only murders, but just people that have had have family issues with like the will, like they don't like how the will was done, or they're pissed off that a family member didn't get something right. I've had souls like that I've read that have come to me. How do we channel our past lives to learn from the past to avoid future problems? Well, I mean, I can do a past life reading, obviously, and to avoid future problems, your astrological chart can tell you a lot about that too. You can say, there's a propensity for this. Okay, so I can see in somebody's astrological chart what their propensity, their predispositions are for this lifetime. And when you want to talk about past lives, there are planets you look at. You look at Saturn, you look at Chiron. Chiron is associated, the asteroid Chiron is associated with past lives as well. So there's different things you can take into consideration, so to avoid future problems. And, obviously, I'm assuming you're talking about major problems, because we're always going to have problems. Excuse me. Yeah, I would. I mean, I know you, but I would say to somebody, consult a good prophet. I really hate to use the word psychic, especially after QVC psychic that I saw not 24 hours ago. What a mess. So that's, I would say get a reading. Now, because, for example, could I read you given our relationship, given that we know each other and we've known each other for some time? Could I do an unbiased past life reading? And I don't mean unbiased as in I have an agenda. I just mean I know you. It's been a while, so I probably could. I mean, I could certainly try. And one of the things I learned from you was that you should really ask souls before you call them forth. Remember that? I can tell you, remember where we were, too. What restaurant we were in. Is this holding them back from reincarnating, being called all the time? No. It can be sometimes, occasionally disturbing if we force the issue or force them, but it certainly wouldn't hold them back from reincarnating. That's like trying to stop a train. Standing in front of a train and trying to stop it. It's not going to happen. They're going to reincarnate. My sister, I believe. What do you call it? Christiane, my sister, I believe, was murdered by her abusive ex-husband the way he called the day of her death before it was on the news and asked what happened to Hope. That's long. You'd have to get a reading, Christian. Sorry, honey. You'd definitely have to get a reading from me. That's nothing I would. Okay. Oh, okay, Jacob. Sorry about that, Jacob, buddy. I see shadow people before they die, like the night of. Any insight? Um. Yeah, your third eye's open. You sense it. You're sensitive. Jacob, can you do me a favor? Can you type in your birthday for me? If you're still watching, can Jacob just put in your birthday? I'm just curious to see what. And if you're not a water sign, if you're not a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, you could have a strong water ascendant or moon. So it could be in your astrology. You can be predisposed to being psychic or be sensitive and have your third eye opened. And we discussed my metaphysics class too. And if anybody wants to be in my metaphysics class, just add me as a Facebook friend. Facebook.com/Eric.Fraize.9. I should have put that in the description too. I'm waiting to hear what Jacob's birthday is to see. An interesting thing too about reincarnation. You mentioned babies being closer to the veil. Could their souls or spirits astral travel back and forth through realms or dimensions? I remember traveling as a child at night. Scorpio. 1 second, Don, honey. I'm sorry. Jacob, yes. That doesn't. It's November 2nd. Okay. You were born on All Souls Day. You were born on El Día de los Muertos. You were born on the Day of the Dead. There you go. Okay. So that's undoubtedly. And I've no doubt that's why you can see this stuff. Scorpios can just see the shit anyway. Okay, Scorpio rules death. Within 95% of the time, within a year, and look at your family history, within a year of a Scorpio's birth into a family, there's usually a death. Within a year before or after. Within a year before or after a Scorpio's death in a family, there's usually a birth. So check with your family history and see if there was a death in your family within a year before or after November 2nd, 1999. But yes, Jacob, that's why you can see. I have no doubt that's absolutely why you can see them, is because you're the Scorpio and the day you were born. Okay, so you mentioned baby just back and forth with the realms of dimensions. I remember traveling as a child at night and telling it to my mom. Yeah, we can do. We can do so many magical things as children because we believe. You know, and we believe we have the faith of a child. That's what Jesus said. Unless you become as little children, you shall not see the kingdom of heaven. You know, so we're more powerful as children, and that our third eye is much more open as a child. And so as time goes on, you know, we hear the messages of adults around us. Oh, that's not true. That can't happen. Da, 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 da. And we, as kids, unfortunately, we believe the shit that shoveled us. And we, you know, Jacob, request me as a friend. Facebook.com/Eric.Fraize.9. But yeah, November 2nd, that's boom. 2 is the vibration of the moon, which is Cancer, which is naturally a psychic sign anyway. November, Scorpio, your sun sign. November 2nd is All Souls Day. You're born within the Halloween Triduum. Okay. Sean, if you don't change your profile picture, I'm going to block you next time. Next time you come on and you still have that same profile picture, Kush, I swear I'm gonna ban you from the page. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. I'm gonna change it today when I go home from work. Okay. Michelle, you still travel when you sleep. You go to great places. That's good. No, that's good. You can go into Holly Scott, doppelgangers. What are your views? I have seen them. I'm assuming you give me your birthday, June 29th, which is Cancerian. Anybody can be psychic. The water signs tend to be the most psychic. There are different kinds of psychic. Honestly, I'd have to research doppelgangers, believe it or not. I know theories about soulmates, twin flames, etc. But doppelgangers, I would have to research some more. Doppelgangers is something, even after 31 years, I'm not that familiar with. I haven't run into a situation where I've read somebody and said, "Oh, I've read you before." Like you have you know what I mean? So I got to plead ignorance on that one, truth be told. But I would have to research it some more. Let me just see. We're taking your questions right now. Why is let me go back here. Barbara, let's see, is that how you start putting the pieces together to see if you were reincarnated? You put birthdays together of other people. Yep. Very good, Barbara. Is that Barbara? Is that how you start putting the pieces together to see if you are reincarnated? You put birthdays together of other people that may have intersected your life on significant days. Absolutely, yes. My brother died on my best friend's birthday. Boom. Yes, you are absolutely correct, Barbara, in that. And it's your puzzle, and we have help. Or this stuff is hidden to us. But it's secret. It's revealed secretly through numbers, numerology, astrology. This is all key in seeing, if who you've been connected with and stuff. And you say, "Oh, that's so funny. We have the same birthday. Oh, we were born a day apart," or blah 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 blah. I know somebody who miscarried. I know somebody whose twin died in the womb. Okay, he was born. The twin died. And then 2 years later, a sister was born the day after his birthday. Okay, so it is my and I just always knew this, because even though she's younger than him, she has dominance over him. So I've always known, and I've always felt that she was the soul that was lost 2 years prior. She was the child that was lost 2 years prior. Reincarnation. Okay. So that's, it's really amazing. So, growing up, strange. It's that our family was a ghost. Yeah, we also see more as children, more ghosts and stuff like that. Until we learn to open up our third eye. And pay attention to your pets too. They'll see stuff too. Now look at I did this week's astrological forecast. It's up. Let me just see here real quick. I will read, for those of you that haven't seen my astrological forecast yet, I will give you, I'll read it to you now live. Public, okay, let me just see here. Or a horrible astrological forecast. Oh, wow, it's my own live video. Okay. Here's your astrological forecast for the week of Monday, September 16th, 2019. Mercury and Venus remain in Libra, lovable Libra, while Mars remains in Virgo. There will be movement in relationships because Venus is at home in Libra and Mercury, communication. But often, per usual, it will have to come from the female or the more sensitive, intuitive, because Mars, the masculine, is in Virgo, conservative, not a talker. Okay. This position remains for the rest of September. Saturn finally goes direct in Capricorn on Wednesday, relieving some of the burdens of the rest of the generational planets. The rest of the generational planets have been putting on the world at large and our karmic lives. Careers, in particular, and business will pick up. Okay, sharply. So if your business has been suffering and you've had a hard time looking for work, hang in there. Things will get better very soon. Business will pick up too. Real estate's going to pick up too. I don't know. Is that it's prophetic? So I guess I can't be charged. It can't be Martha Stewarted for giving you stock tips or something. This is also a very curious combination as we approach Halloween. Saturn shares dominion of the underworld with Pluto and Mars, and I put in parentheses, depending on the kind of dead you are calling forth. Are you calling forth the damned? Pluto. Are you calling forth those who have died violently or died in battle? Mars. Are you calling forth the elderly, the old ancestors? Saturn. So it depends. Okay, but all these planets, these crucial planets to speak to all manner of dead folks, are fascinating for October. Perfectly aligned. So they're also in Capricorn, and starting October 3rd. While readings in magic are quite potent in October and on Halloween, Hallowmas anyway, they will be extremely potent this year. So not only is the veil thin this year, it is super thin. Like there are holes in the veil this year, okay? And it's not just thin, honey. There are holes, all right? The thing is being torn in two this year. Readings, magic, dreams, hauntings, unsettled spirits is going to be an amazing October. Then I go off on Salem City Government for closing the burial ground, which was absolutely retarded. The moon is waning all week for the rest of the month. In fact, these last 2 weeks of September are great for getting rid of shit. That can be people. That can be, getting them out of your lives. It can be house cleaning. It can be preparing for fall, whatever. This is great. The planets are great for just removing crap and obstacles these next 2 weeks for a wonderful October. September 18th, for some odd reason, September 18th, just this specific day. If anybody is buying a house this week or closing this week, on September 18th is the best day to do it. It's just a great day for specifically that activity, closing in a house. Very busy Thursday and Friday with the moon in Gemini as you catch up on a multitude of blessings. Why is this so? Saturn's been holding back a lot of blessings. Saturn, the planet of karma, the planet of discipline. It's going direct on the 18th while the moon enters Gemini, the sign of activity, communication, So you could very well find yourself in a position where you get more done Thursday and Friday than you have the whole month of September up to this point. Okay, blessings are going to be released. Money is going to be released that's been held back. Blessings that have been waiting are going to come through. So it's actually a very positive week. And I'm usually, I'm usually a doom and gloomer, like, oh, this week's going to suck. But it looks good. It looks good. I could be biased because I'm born October 6th and it's approaching my time. You know what I'm saying? So it's all right. And I'd love to say more, but I gotta go. I got a live video coming up in 45 minutes that says I need to do my hair, as you can see. And I even put on cologne for you tonight, just so you know. I'm psychic astrologer EricJFraize. I hate saying that word, psychic. I'm prophet EricJFraize, and that's how I see it. All right. Okay, Barbara. Yeah, send me a Facebook message. Let's see. That's it. So if there are any more questions real quick before any final questions? It's good. It was a good video. It's just a little past 9 p.m. A good solid hour. I mean, I was on 10 minutes prior. So let's just wait for it anyway. Thanks, Michelle. She says I smell great. All right. Hey, thank you for joining in. Remember to donate. If you got something out of this video, donate. Doesn't take much to donate. $1, $2, $3, $5, whatever. The links are in the go to my Facebook, Christian, go to my Facebook. You can actually message me on Facebook or go to my website, EricFraize.com. EricFraize.com. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this, and just watch some more videos, the next video, I think I'm going to do lexigrams, not sure yet, but send me some questions and topics. Send me some topic suggestions, and because you're the ones I choose from. Every video I've done to this point, except for my first one, I think. Every video after that I've done to this point, you guys have chosen the topic. So definitely, I pay attention to what you say. So comment, what you want to hear about, what you want to learn about, and I will do a show on that topic. Shows average an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. A show, I guess it's a show. I don't feel like it's a show. I'm just chatting to friends is what I feel like. So thank you for joining in tonight. Thank you, everybody that watched. I really appreciate it. Share the video, like the video. Please share it, share. And that's it, okay? I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. It was nice to see a lot of familiar faces and nice to see some new ones, okay? Thank you very much. All right, everybody have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.